Never seen a live service game make so many pivots in less than a year. First, DNA was supposed to have character gacha, but moments before launch, they made all characters and gear free and swapped to cosmetic gacha. Now, they've completely upended their content schedule, switching from 8-week-long patches to 6-week-long patches. And DNA only came out 9 months ago. Are these drastic changes heralding the end for DNA, or are they actually signs of a new beginning? Shout out to Duet Night Abyss for sponsoring this video. You can use code Lina DNA Abyss for some freebies. As usual, DNA doesn't control anything I say for these videos. These are all my own thoughts. For its first 7 months, DNA had a consistent schedule for its releases. Each patch was a whopping 8 weeks long, which felt like an eternity compared to the usual gacha schedule of 5 or 6 weeks. A new character was released every 30 days, meaning each patch dropped 2 new characters. But there was a huge problem with that. DNA's main method of monetization is in its gacha skins, but only the first character released every patch was given a special banner skin. That means if, like me, you loved Camilla, you were out of luck because Suyi was 1.3's main character, so Camilla got nothing. The same tended to apply to new gear, where the main character of the patch and anyone of the same element got a nice power spike from the new equipment. Meanwhile, second-half characters like Camilla and Hilda are still missing decent pyro demon wedges. Each story chapter in DNA is substantial and lovingly crafted, so it's no surprise that the devs needed 2 months to push each chapter out. When you take into account the aforementioned change from character gacha to cosmetic gacha, it becomes clear why there are too many characters yet too few outfits to go around. But it didn't feel good. The second character of each patch felt unimportant, and the sheer length of each patch made it hard to stay invested in DNA for the entire duration of each patch. Although each patch added things to have fun with, there just wasn't enough to do in 8 long weeks. In essence, it felt like every patch was a content drought. A lot of my friends who loved the game ended up falling off of it due to these huge waits. All that was there to hook you back in the second half of the patch was maybe a couple of events and a new character release. Though, since you only control one character at a time in DNA, having 2 character releases per super long patch never felt necessary to me. At some point, I even mentioned to DNA staff that the game would benefit from shorter patches with only 1 new character, but I didn't actually expect that it would have been possible. Then came the surprise announcement. Shortly before version 1.5, which is the current patch, DNA announced that its patch cadence would be majorly shaken up. Instead of 8-week patches, each patch will be 6 weeks long instead. 42-day cycles are the new norm. To account for this, each future patch will release a single character, a special gacha skin for the new character, 2 exclusive cheaper skins for specific characters, and the usual universal skin. Though these days they're not so universal, but I'll save that for another video. Beyond that, 6-week patches mean faster content updates, faster quality of life changes, and faster responses to player feedback. The only real drawback is that main story updates will now come every 3 versions. There's a main story update in September, and after that, the next one will be in January of 2027. However, if that means the story can retain the same high-quality writing it's had since release, I think that's a worthy trade-off. It's not like those will be the only story updates anyway. Once this new schedule stabilizes in a couple of patches, each new character in between main updates will get their own smaller side story. What this means is that the difference between old and new updates will look something like this. An old patch used to be 8 weeks long with 2 characters and 1 main story update, with the caveat that 1.2 didn't have any new main story at all. There was about 4 weeks per character release. The new patches from version 1.5 onwards will be 6 weeks long with 1 character, and every 18 weeks will be a new main story update. There will also be character stories each patch in between main story, starting with version 1.7 and 1.8. This new schedule takes the pressure off the devs. They have 50% more time to develop each character and character story, while they've got over 125% more time to prepare new main story installments. And at the same time, players get more things to do with more frequent gameplay updates. DNA isn't the only game to have gone down this route either. Morimen's is another gacha with a huge focus on story that has a similar update cadence. New character every month with their own new story, and then a new main story patch after 3 characters. It works great there, and I'm sure it'll be great in DNA as well. That's all well and good, but what sort of quality of life updates do players actually benefit from? A couple of weeks ago, I recorded a long rant about how painful demon wedges were to farm and how unfriendly the system was to anyone but the most hardcore of players, but the audio got messed up, so I never posted it. All you need to know is that I was very frustrated last patch as a more casual player who just couldn't spare the time to upgrade multiple gold demon wedges to +10. Now, all defense stages in the Noctoyager manual, that is, where you farm most of your demon wedges, now have auto-continue. This is the feature that lets you AFK farm, which was completely unavailable before if you wanted demon wedges. The best part is that the difficulty doesn't scale higher with each completed wave, so even weaker builds can get through 99 waves just fine. I know what you're thinking. Why are you happy you get to play the game less? But grinding demon wedges was always something extremely easy that took an enormous amount of time for no conceivable reason. DNA has fun gameplay, but grinding demon wedges felt to me like a punishment you had to endure before you could get to the parts of the game that are actually fun. That's all changed. Now you get to enjoy the feeling of numbers going up while you're busy doing other stuff, and then reap the rewards by jumping into harder content when you have more time. I highly recommend setting your graphics on low and making the resolution tiny while you auto-farm, however. Your PC or mobile device will thank you for it. Now that grinding wedges is so seamless, my main criticism is that it takes so much time. If it's fully automated, there's really no reason for it to take so long. A full 99 wave run takes me around 64 minutes. And if you didn't hear, Europe is going through a heat wave, and running my PC for multiple hours is turning my room into a sauna. Higher rewards per session, or better yet, some manual methods of grinding that give better rewards would be great. On the topic of respecting your time, defense commissions have been improved across the board to start you off right near the point you need to defend. No more need to traverse across long distances each time you load in. These changes to farming may sound small, but they feel like genuine game changers for anyone who doesn't want DNA to feel like a second job. Expulsion Noctoyager commissions still need to be done manually, but that's actually changing soon too. Until then, I'm gonna stick with the defense missions and ignore the expulsion ones as much as possible. I've had a lot of fun in 1.5 so far, finally maxing out some gold wedges. This new schedule is also a huge benefit for anyone who wants to power up the latest character ASAP. Before, you had 28 days to earn the new character from Immersive Theater, and after that, the character went into the weekly boss challenges so you could slowly farm them to max. Due to the new changes, now each character spends only 21 days in Immersive Theater before shuffling into the weekly boss challenge, which has the knock-on effect of putting older characters in the secret letter clue shop faster. This is great, because the sooner a character enters the secret letter clue shop, the easier they are to get. Fushu and Fina, for example, are two of the best supports in the game, and they can be farmed infinitely. There's one particular change in 1.5 that leaves me scratching my head though: the Battle Pass. The most expensive version used to give a universal skin box you could use on any character, but version 1.5 limits the latest universal skin to just one character, Fina. This also happens to be the only way to get her skin, as her version is not available from the shop boxes. Frankly, it's a bad look. I strongly advise DNA to walk back this change. Before this, the Battle Pass skin could be given to any character, and the rest could be bought in the shop. This game needs to improve in all aspects, not get worse. And that's not the only concerning news. There are some worrying signs for the game that caught people off guard. The Asian servers were suddenly merged together after version 1.5, which came as a bit of a shock. I asked DNA staff about whether this could be a sign of end of service, as people feared, and was told that these changes are intended to strengthen the Asian server ecosystem and create a healthier, more active player environment in the long run. And I quote, "They're definitely not a sign of EOS." This doesn't actually impact the login experience, however, and you'll still be able to see each of the servers when you try to connect to DNA. If you play on any of the Asian servers, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the merge and how it impacted you in the comments. I genuinely believe this response is the truth, as it would be pointless to push such huge changes if the game was intended to shut down. The fact that DNA has content locked in until at least January is reassuring. And on top of that, the new system invites a lot of positive change. Gameplay improvements were sorely needed, and the additions over the last few patches have done a lot to help with that. Improved photo mode, where you can make good use of all the emotes you've been collecting, more accessible UI, double the Mystic Maze rewards, better guild rewards, and more. And, of course, the new story viewer that you can access from the Sanctuary. DNA's story is so good, and the graphics have improved so much since the beginning that it's worth watching it back. If you've been waiting for the movement to feel more momentum-based, that still hasn't happened. Though we can finally aim without shooting come October, momentum is starting to feel possible thanks to these gameplay-focused updates. So, are these changes the beginning or end for DNA? When a game is about to shut down, a common symptom is a total lack of updates coupled with radio silence from the developers. DNA's communication has demonstrably gotten better and better over the last few updates. At the beginning, DNA didn't even offer decent compensation for major issues, so I was constantly calling them out for being stingy in previous videos. That makes a huge difference from now, where they finally give limited gacha pulls regularly and post a lot of Luna's bulletins detailing responses to player feedback in good time. The game still has its problems, namely the monetization and whatever's going on with Ensemble Act, but this new direction shows a lot of promise. If DNA actually succeeds in polishing up its combat and gameplay loop like the latest developer message implied, then this is just the beginning.